Good morning, everyone. My name is Karla, and you have reached my FlossTube channel, KarlaBeingCrafty, where I talk about mostly cross stitch, but also other crafts that I am working on or have worked on in the past, and a little bit of life thrown in. Today is my FlossTube number 30. I've been doing this since the very end of June last year. And it is Sunday, January 26th. It is a bit overcast outside today, so if my lighting's a little bit dark, I have my window right there, and that's what I use for my natural light. But it is a little bit overcast this morning, so if my light seems a little bit dark, that's why. I don't know. In the camera right now, it looks pretty good, but I never know what it's going to look like when I upload it. So anyway, welcome. If you are a first-time viewer, if you just stumbled upon me, then thank you so much for coming by. I hope that you like my video and that you will hit the like button and subscribe. Subscribers are really important, and I'm slowly climbing up there, hoping to hit 1,000 soon, although I have quite a ways to go because I'm only like 760 something right now. But I'm hoping to get up there. So if you are like what you see, then please do subscribe, and I would really appreciate that. If you are a returning viewer, then thank you so much for coming back. I love all you guys. I love your comments. I love how supportive you are to me and my channel, and I really enjoy spending this time with you each week. I look forward to it, and once I do it, I look forward to hearing the feedback. So I just want to say a big thank you for that. So let's get into it. Kind of a weekly update. I don't really have anything very exciting to talk about this week. Nothing much happened. I told you last week how I had to like tear my whole apartment apart for a exterminator thing that was happening in my building, and I was very enthusiastic about getting it put back together. I didn't really do very much as far as that goes this week. Yeah, I was kind of lazy about it. I put a few dribs and drabs back, but I still have stuff piled on my table. I have stuff piled on the floor down here, and you know, I'll get to it when I get to it. There's a lot of things about being single and living alone that I don't like, but one of the advantages of it is that if I want to be lazy and not put stuff away and have piles on my kitchen table, there's no one around to give me a hard time about that. It's just all to what I want to do. So I will look on the bright side, as I try to do, and take that as an advantage of living alone. So excuse me, I'm having those morning allergy graveliness, so excuse me for taking a sip there. Yeah, so as far as, you know, I stitched in the evenings. I worked on my resin stuff, which I will show you later in the video, and that was pretty much what I did. I was supposed to go out to dinner last night with my brother's family. It is my oldest nephew's birthday Tuesday, I believe. It's either Monday or Tuesday. Anyway, he's gonna be 12. So we were supposed to go out for his birthday, but unfortunately my niece got the flu on Friday, like the actual flu. Like they took her to emergency care and she had the flu, so they had to give her Tamiflu, and they gave everybody else, you know, a small dose as a preventative measure. So hopefully she's gonna be on the mend really quick, but in the meantime, obviously we didn't go out last week, or this week, so I'm sure that'll be happening in the near future. They surprised, my brother and sister-in-law surprised the kids with a trip to Disneyland for Logan's birthday on Thursday, which was really great. So they got to go and do all the Star Wars stuff, which he is totally into. And then I believe Aaron took him back there to build a robot, which he's in a robotics club already, and so he built a robot that he named BB12 in honor of his 12th birthday. So that's pretty exciting for him, and I can't wait to hear all about their trip. I am sure that next time I see the kids, I will be regaled with stories. So I'm looking forward to that. But that's about it as far as life stuff. Not much happening. So let's get on to the cross stitch and other craft stuff. First thing I have to show you, I don't have any finishes myself, but I have another finish from the mama that I now have to finish for her, fully finished. So she made this flamingo. This was actually a free pattern from the DMC website. And then I hand dyed this aida for her. This is like a opalescent 11 count aida. I got a big piece in white, and then I dyed this piece for her. She wanted like a oceany, pooly color. So I did that, and then she used pearl cotton to do the stitching. And then she asked me to put this in for her, the smaller stitches, so I did that. But everything else she did herself. And she made a couple changes, as I want to do, so we know where I got it. She made some changes in the way it was charted. And this is going to go to one of her caregivers. I don't know if it's the head nurse, or I don't know who it is, but it's going to one of the people that she works with every day. So now I have 2 pieces of my mom's that are sitting here that I have promised to finish into pillows for her. So I have to get a move on. I also have my finished February year celebrations. That's going to go right there. And I need to get that finished right before next Saturday, because next Saturday is the 1st. Although I may hold off and do the switch over on Sunday in my video so you guys can see it. But yeah, I have that finished, but it's sitting here not done. Or not fully finished. Okay, I did have a new start this week. I worked on it a couple days. And I talked to you about doing this, my plans to do this, and that was Alessandra Adelaide Tree of Butterflies. And I kind of just decided I wanted to start this pattern. I started it on Monday because it was Tu B'Shvat, which is sort of like the New Year for trees. It's an Israeli Jewish holiday, and it kind of is a celebration of trees. So it's like, you know, Jewish Arbor Day or Israeli Arbor Day. I decided to do it on this hand-dyed fabric that I dyed. This pinky, orangey, whatever color. And so this is my start. Oh, I can't see. Okay. There we go. Now, I actually I started it, and then I frogged a little bit, and then did more. Because, so, in the pattern, the trunk, this part is all one color. And then there's all these little branches that come off that's charted in a different color. A lighter brown. So the trunk is like a darker one, and then the branches are lighter. And I had pulled this variegated floss for the trunk. This is the Needle Necessities 1252. And of course the pattern is not variegated. The pattern I think is charted in DMC, and I just, you know, I pulled from stash what I had. But I thought that this would be pretty, the variegated. And then I pulled this kind of golden color for the branches, and I thought, you know, they would go together fine, which they do go together fine if you hold them up. The problem is this color just did not really show up on the pinky orange fabric at all. So I had done a little bit of that the first night, and I debated about it, and I wasn't happy with it. And since, you know, the bulk of the pattern is the branches and the leaves and everything like that, you know, I thought that it needs to show. So I decided to just go ahead and use the trunk color as the color for all the internal swirly things too. And I figured since it's variegated, I'm still getting the variation in the pattern. I'm just using, you know, one less color. And so that's where I am on that. So, and it's kind of fun to like stitch the swirlies of the branches. The piece of fabric, I thought I would have plenty. Actually, this pattern is really big. It's like deceptively big. And so I'm only going to be able to have like 1.5 inches on the top and bottom. I have plenty of room on the sides, but so that may limit my finishing choices. However, I'm finding that framing, which is the one where you really need more fabric, that's my least preferred method of finishing so far. I mean, I haven't been stitching even a year yet, but because of the expense of getting a frame, and I'm framing, if I do get a frame, I'm framing stuff myself. So I'm more likely, I think, to make more wall hangings like I did for that piece for my brother, or pillows. I don't know. So anyway, I'm not really worried about it. Once I finish it, which is going to be a while, then I'll make a decision on what I want to do with it. Oops, I left the floss up. But yeah, I was actually surprised when I started doing it. I was like, oh my god, I'm going to have enough fabric. Because the piece is a nice size piece of fabric. It's like a 13 by 17. Yeah, it's a standard thing, but yeah, but that's a big pattern. So okay, I did a few stitches on Suffrage Act this week. This again is the style that I'm participating in with Stitching with Sisterlies. I think, what did I work on? I think I just finished this gray line across the top here, and then I brought the thread down into the lady. Glare there. So yeah, so I did the gray that's the little bow on her waist. And yeah, so I didn't do very much. I just put in a few stitches on this one. The sale is like from January through November of this year, so there's not a huge rush to do it. But this is actually a really fun pattern to do. And everybody who is doing it is saying the same thing, that it's really actually fun to do. So yeah, so I'm enjoying this one a lot. I'm enjoying seeing other people's posting. I'm enjoying hearing people on FlossTube talk about it. And Colleen and Cheryl, and then Michelle Bendy and Erin Two Martini Stitcher, they had like a sort of a stitch along discussion FlossTube, which was pretty interesting. I mean, they were being a little bit political, which is fine. Yeah, I mean, I think my views are pretty much in alignment with them anyway. So for me personally, there was no problem. I mean, it was interesting to see in the comments, some people did have like issues, and I think that just kind of goes to show how our country is a bit divided right now, which is not good, which is, why I think cross-stitch bringing people together is a good thing. But anyway, if you're interested, there was an interesting video to watch. But please, if you do watch it, be kind, don't take offense if there's anything that you don't particularly agree with. Okay. I started my, purse project, which I told you I switched it out. I had the Mill Hill Moonstruck in my purse, and it was just too difficult to work on because it's black, and the big moon in the middle, which is what I did first, was fine. But now I'm into like darker stitching, like dark brown and black, and it's too hard to see out in the world. I need to be with a really good light, and yeah, it's too hard to see it in the world, so it didn't make a good purse project. So I switched it out for this one, which I just got over the holidays. So it's Mill Hill Pomegranate, and I had put it in my purse. I kind of like kitted it up I mean, it's already a kit, but I mean, I organized it and everything. But I hadn't done anything on it, so I just decided to do a few stitches just so I could, you know, have it started. So, I mean, that's barely a start, but it's in my purse to work on if I am stuck in the car, you know, parked with nothing to do, or, you know, in line or whatever. So that's what that's for. Although I'm kind of like, it was kind of fun to start working on it. So, you know, I might pull it out in an evening out of my purse and work on it at home. Oh, I worked on March Year of Celebrations. I got pretty far in it actually this week. So I have, there's like a column both on the side and on the bottom. You can see I started it here. Yeah. And then there's like these shamrocks that are all in here. And I'd like to get that done this week if possible, just because I want to try and stay a month ahead, like actually 2 months ahead, because when we get to May, I'm not planning on working on the June one in May because it's going to be Mania. And my plans, my personal plans for Mania are to have a Haid Mania and just work on my 3 Haid projects all month and see how far I can get on them. The last whip that I worked on is, this one runs on Cuddles and Caffeine, which I'm making for my sister-in-law. And I'm using, this is a hand-dyed by me fabric. And then I'm using all DMC variegated flosses. And I changed it from this home to this mom. And I'm showing you the back. So I got, I think the M was not finished, so I finished the M, and then I did a bunch in this bottom. But I think it's going to actually be really pretty when I get it done. And then I'm planning on probably doing a wall hanging again on this. I was thinking about putting it into a pillow, but it's just 3 little kids and 2 dogs, and you know, it will be washable, but I don't think that I want it to have to be washed all the time because people got food on it, or you know, a dog licked on it or whatever. So I think it might be a little bit more practical to put it as a wall hanging. But, you know, I haven't made a full decision on that yet either. Okay, the other 2 things I worked on, I did work on Village Bookstore. I put in about 80 stitches one evening. And it's back there. You can see the frame. I haven't put the frame away. So it is kind of like out, and it's not super pretty, but for now, it's easier to kind of leave it out, pushed up against my hutch cabinet thing, than to have to dismantle it all the time. So it is dismantleable if I have people over, if I want to put it away. But for now, I have it out. I put like a plastic sheet over the stitching to kind of protect it from dust and stuff when I'm not working on it. I think that I will show it to you guys every so often when I have more significant work on it. I mean, 80 stitches is not going to look that much different than what I showed you last week, and it's just a little bit too cumbersome to pull apart to show you on the camera. So, but I am trying to post on Instagram, so if you follow me on Instagram, then you can see it there as well. And then yesterday, I did spend quite a bit of time working on lavender roses. So I almost finished this diagonal. I'm like, I'm so bummed. I'm two rows from finishing this diagonal, but it was getting so late. You know, I was like working on it late because I wanted to get the diagonal done to show you guys in the video. And I got down to the last 2 rows, and the second to last row is the Kreinik, and the Kreinik just was not behaving. I could not get it threaded, and then I got it threaded and it broke, and it's like, it was like midnight, and I'm like, I cannot futz around with this Kreinik. I will finish these 2 rows tomorrow, but I almost finished that diagonal. So it's looking really good. So I think actually this eye is done. There might be a couple more stitches in the darker color right there, but that one's done. So the next diagonal, I don't know if I'm gonna hit the nose. I might hit the pink of the nose, which I'm so excited to hit the pink of the nose. I mean, this project for me has been kind of like, so like 4 sections. Like I'm either in the neutral color section or the tan section, or I've been in black, you know, which the black actually, like in here, goes pretty fast because where there's big blocks, then I actually stitch back and forth, which I don't do normally. Normally I start on the left, I go over 10, I go back to the left, and I do it that way. But when it was a big block of just black, I did go back and forth, so it went a little bit quicker. And then I have my purple areas. Also, here is one of my needle minders. I will talk about those in a minute. And yeah, so there's like been 4 like color sections for me on this one, and so I'm kind of like looking forward to getting to the nose, because that will be pinks and orangey colors for a little bit. Let's see, I think it will go to about there. So I'm still not quite halfway done by, you know, stitch numbers, but I'm getting close. So, and I really like this one. This one spoke to me from the first moment I saw it. So every time I work on it, I really like it. And that is Lavender Roses by Carrie Hawks, charted by Heaven Earth Designs. Okay, so that is all of my whips for this past week that I worked on. And my plans, so next Saturday starts February, and I've been talking about my February sale that I'm doing, which I would love anybody who wants to join me to please do so. I'm going to be working on the Blue Flowers Gathering Honey, and the hashtag is Be My Own Valentine Sal, and it's BEE because of Gathering Honey. So I have explained sort of the story behind this in previous videos, but I know I've had a lot of new subscribers, so if you haven't heard it, if you have heard it, I'm sorry I'm telling it again, but if you haven't heard it, this is why I'm doing Gathering Honey. So I went through a divorce in 2016, 2017, which has been difficult. It still is. I mean, I know, you know, I think about it, I'm like, God, you know, he left like 3.5 years ago. I should be over it. In many ways I am over it, but in some ways I'm not. I mean, I'm still mourning, I'm still hurting, I'm still dealing with the fallout from it every day. And I found that part of the grief, I guess, of going through this experience, it's not thinking about bad stuff that happened, because quite honestly, not that much bad stuff happened in our marriage. I mean, this divorce was a big shock to me. I still couldn't tell you exactly what happened, but the harder thing is good memories, because yeah, I mean, there's things that I did with him, or things that were our little thing or whatever, and those things are the things that hurt. There's like a pasta dish that I really love that I made for him on the first week or 2 that we were dating, and that he loved, and he asked for it all the time on special occasions, and I have not made that pasta dish in 4 years, and I really love it. I don't know if I'll ever be able to make it again, because there's just so much memory associated with it, and it's painful. So when I first started stitching, there's a lot of bee motifs in the stitching world, and one of the things that we kind of did together, that he did during the time that we were together, is that he kind of became an amateur beekeeper. And for a while we were very into it and had 6 hives in our backyard. It was like an acre backyard, or a third of an acre backyard. But we had 6 hives under this big oak tree, and we did honey processing twice for 2 years, and had a ton of honey. And it was like we had this whole system, and and we jarred it all, and we put it all in cute jars, and we made cute lid toppers, and we gave it to everybody for the holidays. And yeah, so it was kind of like the idea of maybe starting a small business with local honey. But anyway, so we were very into the bees and the honey and everything like that. When I first started stitching and saw all of these bee patterns and honey and bee conservation, which I really believe in, because if we lose the bees, we won't have food. People don't seem to realize how important bees are. And there have been bee hive failures. That's been a big issue that has happened recently. A lot of scientists are working on it, etc. But anyway, so I saw all these patterns, but I couldn't even like look at them. Like the memories were, because they were such good memories, were too painful for me to even look at any kind of pattern that had anything to do with bees. I used to be like his queen bee, and I dressed up as the queen bee for Halloween one year, and it was hard. And anybody who's, I'm sure, been through a breakup or divorce, or you understand what I'm talking about. Even losing somebody to death. There's things that are good memories, but they're hard to think about. And yeah, so that's how I was with bees. And then this pattern that I saw, this gathering honey, was the first time I saw a bee related pattern that I saw it and I went, I really like that, I want to stitch it. And I felt like it was almost like a release of some of the bad stuff, like the bad feelings associated with those good memories, that I could disassociate myself from those bad feelings and just enjoy the pattern. So I decided to get the pattern and stitch it, and then on top of that I decided to stitch it in February when it's Valentine's Day, because I have to admit, I've never had a Valentine's Day with my husband, before my husband. I've never had a Valentine's Day that was that huge of a deal, but it is very difficult to see the ads for everything love related when you don't have that in your life, when you don't have romantic love. And I don't right now. I just don't. And I don't know if I ever will again. So it's hard to see. And it's in the cross stitch world too. How many artists are coming out with all of these love patterns, and and little lovebirds kissing each other, and you're my Valentine. It gets to be a lot when you don't have it. Any chocolate that I get this year is going to be purchased by me. Any flowers are going to be purchased by me, for me. And that isn't necessarily a bad thing. That is the other part of this, is that I'm stitching it for me to be my own Valentine. So that's where it comes from. So it's hashtag BEE, my own Valentine Sal. And you don't have to stitch this pattern. You can stitch anything related to a bee, is fine. So that is what I'm working on. So of course, you guys, it's me. You know me by now. I don't very often pay attention to what it says as far as fabric and floss. I kind of do my own thing, partly because especially when it's a pattern that's charted with like overdyed threads, I'm not going to go out usually and buy the overdyed threads that it's calling for. I'm just going to use what I have. I did dye my own fabric. This is a piece of Hardanger that I dyed in this bright yellow which I'm not a big yellow person normally, but this piece of fabric just makes me really happy. So I figured this is sort of a I want to be happy chart for me, and so this happy fabric is a good choice. Excuse me, my nose is just like running all of a sudden. Oh. Maybe emotions? I don't know. When I did my Tikkun Olam pattern, this is the first time I worked on heart anchor, and I did it with one strand, and I really liked it. I love the way it looks. I love how tiny the stitches are, and I just really enjoyed working on that. So I decided to try the heart anchor for a bigger pattern. So that's what I'm doing with the blue flower. I'm using this piece of heart anchor that I dyed. Heart anchor, for some reason, it feels really smooth. Like Aida has a bit of a roughness to it because of the weave. I don't know. I just really like the heart anchor. It kind of like is in between working on an Aida and working on an even weave for me. You have sort of like the ease of seeing the squares that you get with an Aida, but you kind of have the smoothness, the look of an even weave. So I really liked it. It is 22 count. Heart anchor is 22 count. So you're going to have smaller stitching. We'll see. I mean, this is going to be the first big pattern that I'm doing on heart anchor, so I may end up hating it. But these are the flosses. Some of them are the called for. Some of them are substitutes. The only one that this is the Ohio. Yeah, Ohio lemon pie doesn't show up great on the fabric, but I think that mostly it's used like inside the flowers, so like these inner stitches. So if it is used someplace where it's not going to show at all, then I'll change it out for something else. Excuse me. I mostly picked stuff that was sort of a match for what was called for, except that I'm changing the dress. I don't really like the gray dress, and I'm changing the hair. So I'm making the hair purple because, obviously, because it's me tending bees. And then the dress, I think I'm using, which one did I pick? This one, which is sort of a variegated pinky, orangey, peachy color. And then the flowers are similar to what is called for, but I did make some changes. So anyway, I'm going to be starting that on Saturday, and I would love anybody to join me who wants to join me. I guess this pattern is it's like a nod to getting everything, being okay with just being me and just being me by myself. So yeah, so I don't know if it's a strike towards independence or maturity or what it is, but anyway, that's the story behind why I like this pattern so much. And I really like some of the blue flower patterns. I mean, this one and then Night Walks Down is what I'm going to do in August for my birthday. So those two are just great. So anyway, that is what my plans are for the coming week and the coming month. And that brings me to kind of an update. Well, haul. Oops, I don't really have any haul. I am, as you know, trying to be frugal and not make purchases that are not necessary purchases. I did make a purchase of these 4 little hoop things from Amazon. I got them because the whole Etsy shop thing, I need something to display the needleminders on to take pictures. So that's what my idea was behind these. I didn't know exactly what they were. I just thought that they were pretty and that they would be good like display hoops. I will probably end up using, especially this one and maybe the tiny one, as finishing tools, because they're kind of interesting. They're like, they look wood, right? I mean, I think they look really nice, but they're like a rubbery, it's like rubber. And it's kind of interesting. Anyway, I got those on Amazon. I did put in a couple orders on eBay this past week. I did get 2 little charts. They're actually sitting in my mailbox. I got notification. I spent $5 including shipping on those. It was a, you know, an auction, and I won the auction. It was $250, I think, for the that I won with, and $250 for the shipping. So it was a $5 purchase, and they are Val's stuff, but I'll show them to you next week. And then the other 2 things that I bid on were a couple pieces of linen, because I haven't ever stitched on linen, and I keep saying I'm not a fan, but I feel like I can't really say I'm not a fan until I actually try it and hold it and whatever. And I also wanted to see what, you know, how dyeing linen works, because I know that it takes the dye differently. So I wanted to try it, and there was one that was like 4 smaller pieces. That was a good price. And then there was one that was actually large, pretty large piece, that's opalescent. So I'm kind of excited to see that one, because that's the one thing I haven't been able to find is white, inexpensive, or, you know, secondhand, because that's basically what I've been getting on eBay is, you know, secondhand fabric. So it's all new fabric, but it's, you know, somebody's purchased it before and then now they're selling it on eBay. But I haven't been able to find opalescent like that. So, and I like the opalescent. So, you know, having an opportunity to purchase an inexpensive piece of a large piece of opalescent linen in a white that I can dye, I can't pass up. So, okay, so on to what I've been doing with this whole resin needle minder Etsy idea. It is going to happen. I'm still, you know, kind of like thinking things through. I've been making more needle minders, making more resin pieces. So here's a few to show you. I think how I'm going to be selling them is I'm going to have them in like size categories, and then so like, you know, it'll be priced like small ORT needle minder, and then you can pick the different shapes. So I've been experimenting with using different colors in the glitter and stuff like that. I've realized that it's better to put more ORTs in the center, because then it kind of disguises the magnet a little bit. These are going to be large, or these are large. That would be in the medium category. That one I'm not sure about. These 2 would be in the small category. So those have already been, like, you know, the magnets have been put on them. I also have an idea that I guess I wanted to ask you guys about, that I'm thinking of, because I know some people will like have like a covered button or a little something for the back magnet. And I'm thinking about doing that partly because when I've gotten the magnets, I've gotten sets of different size magnets. And I was thinking that I'm going to make, because I think they're cute, these little tiny resin thingies, buttons. And then I'm going to put a small magnet, and then that can hook onto the big magnet as the back, so that I can use up the really tiny magnets. Because as far as holding it onto the fabric, you don't need the big magnet. So I'm thinking that's how I'm going to do it. Let's see. So the ones that I just showed you, these are the first ones that I did. And I used glitter. There's blue, you can see, but I didn't use as much. I started using more on these, and I think that I like them better. I also made some that have a more green cast to them. I don't know if that's focusing. it's hard to see. They're really pretty in person. And then I have a second idea. So I have the ORTs in resin. That's going to be one thing. I also am going to do buttons in resin. These will have to be the bigger ones because the smaller ones, you can only fit it like a couple buttons, and I don't think that you get a good look. But like this one, I only had one of these buttons, but that little kitty I think is cute. And then the other ideas that I had, oh, this is a big button one. So this is a coaster. Same thing. Now again, this was I did this with kind of like the first batch, so it's super clear. And I don't know if that's better or if it would be better to have more color behind it. But I thought that this would be a great thing to put at your stitchy spot to hold your coffee or your wine or your water or whatever it is that you prefer drinking. So I think I'm gonna make those two. Now these take a lot of resin, so I think they're going to be something that's a little bit more made to order, just because resin is quite expensive, and until I get this going, I can't really afford to just make a bunch that I have no idea if they're going to sell. But I think this would be cute. A coaster would be cute with the buttons as well. I made this coaster, which doesn't have anything to do with stitchy, but I still think it's cute. It has like these little multicolored balls in it. Kind of looks like, I don't know, candy or little gumballs or something. So yeah, so I've been working on those. They do take quite a while to make, just because the resin process, you know, you have to put down a layer and then do whatever you're going to do. Wait like 5 hours, do another layer, and then with the coasters it takes more than 2 layers. With the needle minders it's basically 2 layers, but then they have to cure for at least 24 or more hours. And then, you know, if you're going to make it into needle minder, you have to glue the needle minder, let that dry. So it's like a 3-day process to make these things. But I am enjoying it. I have a lot of ideas that are brewing. I made 2. These are like these actually have a hole in the top. So I was thinking that I could attach the hardware and these would be good scissor fobs. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. The whole idea of doing an Etsy shop is a little bit scary to me, but I still want to do it. But it is scary, so I have to wrap my head around it. I definitely have to figure out how to take decent looking pictures because that's a big deal. Yeah, so, and I still have the other needle minders that I showed you guys before, these that I've made. So those obviously will be in the shop as well. And I think the way that I will set it up is I'll have, you know, like, again, like I'll have one listing, like Sweet Treat needle minders, and then that will be in it, and that will be in it, and these, and those, and the popcorn. So then you could pick the one that you want. But, yeah, so that idea is brewing, and I'm working on it. It, you know, it's a bit scary, to be quite honest. It's a bit scary for me to think about doing that. Because if I'm going to do it, I want to do it so that, you know, that I'm doing it right, that I don't run into problems. I mean, I'm sure that I will, because any new endeavor like that, you have things you have to iron out. But I want to be as prepared as I can before I launch into that. But I am really excited about these needle minders. They're so pretty to me, and I mean, I can't be the only one who thinks so pretty. I also made this little dome one. I don't prefer domed needle minders to use for my actual stitching, but I just love this little dome. So, I mean, I know there's people who must like them, and they're great for if you're using it to hold your pattern on and stuff. So I may make the little dome as well. And I'll probably just have assorted colors, and it'll kind of be like you get what you get unless you message me and ask for a specific color sort of scheme, and then I can make something to order that is more along those lines. So anyway, so that's my ideas. I've got the ORT items, and I have button-filled needle minders and scissor fob tags and stuff like that. Those are what's in my mind for right now. But I would love to hear any feedback that you guys have about if it's something that you would purchase, if you like the ones that have more color behind them. So like sorry. Okay. So like this one has more pinky, purpley colors behind it, and this one has green. They also are gonna show the color of your fabric through. So this is the fabric that my mom's thing is on. Yeah. Anyway, I really like them. I'm having fun making them, and I like them, and I think they're pretty, and I can't make myself 100 needle minders, so I might as well make them and share them with the world, right? That's my idea. So I think that's going to be it for me today, you guys. I hope you have a wonderful stitchy week next week, and happy last week of January. You know, people always say, you know, the days, the hours go slow, but time goes by so fast. So anyway, until next week, you know, I hope you guys have a great time and are enjoying all of your endeavors. Please remember to always be content, be kind, and be crafty. This is Karla. Have a great week, you guys. Bye-bye.